Aries, as we enter another one of those months where there are eclipses and even more retrogrades, dare I even mention the Mercury retrograde that's happening this month, you may be very tempted to pack up a bag and go off, far off yonder to where the grass is greener. But maybe that's the big question that's happening this month, Aries. Is it somewhere that you have to go? Is there a place where the grass is greener somewhere over yonder on the other side of the fence? Or is it just an illusion? And perhaps is it even time to start trying to cultivate a little bit of your own garden where you're standing? Because this month, what may be revealed to you is that the grass on the other side is just the same old grass that's on this side. It's just that somebody perhaps has been taking better care of their side than you've been taking care of yours. So, Aries, what does all that mean? What the heck is all going on? Well, let's do what we always do, my love. We're going to shuffle the cards. We're going to wait on all the right ones to come out for you, my love. And in the meantime, let's talk about these energies that you may experience this month. So, yes, there are more eclipses happening this month. There's a few card helps out. The King of Fire saying, I'm ready for it. I am ready for this. The King of Fire, you of course being a fire sign, saying, bring it on. Bring it on. I've been through enough already. I can, kick my way through this month perhaps, but maybe you won't have to, Aries. I don't think it's as harsh as that. Another card coming out there, and then this one came out. Yes, the Sun. The feeling here is Mercury, of course, retrograding this month. Good news though, Venus does go direct after being retrograding this month. Neptune is retrograding also, but the big news headline is that there are lunar eclipses and solar eclipses. On June 5th, there's the big lunar eclipse happening in Sagittarius in your 9th house. On June, 21st, there's the new moon solar eclipse happening in Cancer in your 4th house. So that is the big question. 9th house, 4th house. Leaving behind and eclipsing stuff of the 9th house and inviting more of what it is, Cancerian energy, 4th house. So this is a real moment, Aries, where you get to look at your life, your relationships, your work, your friendships, family, whatever situation, your ideas, your projects, your future goals. And you have to stay still for a real moment and have a good long look at, whether you've been fooling yourself in some way, shape or form by believing that somewhere outside of where you're at, the grass is greener. Oh, if I get that job, that'll be better. Then I'll have arrived, then I'll be happy. Oh, if I get into that relationship, then I'll be happy. If I get out of this relationship, then I'll be happy. If I could move here, then I'd be happy. If I could just get my ideas and opinions across, then I'd be happy. So it's this thing of pining away for a place, pining away for a place that's somewhere beyond you. Like I said, the green grass that's on the other side. And this month saying, wait a minute, that place is always on the horizon. No matter how near I get to it, it's always going to keep getting further and further away. So am I chasing after something that's just an illusion? Or am I ruining a good thing that I have because I'm looking around to see if there's a better option? Now, this is a weird one, Aries, because this is not the same thing as saying to you, stop dreaming, stop aiming, stop having visions for your life, stop trying to progress and stop trying to move forward. It's not that at all. It's just something a little bit different where a perspective needs to be shifted here, where you're not in the habit of ruining your experiences here now where you are because you're drifting off to believing that if this was happening, then it would be all right. If I was there, then it would be much better. If I was maybe even back somewhere in my past, if I was back in my college, then people would cheer me for being an A student or brilliant at sports or something. So there's a feeling of somewhere outside of where you are currently experiencing your life, your eye is wandering off to. And again, Again, the big difference is that it's not like taking the arrow and shooting it and aiming for somewhere. This is different. It's a regret. It's a pining. It's a longing for something somewhat unreachable, Aries. A perfection that's unreachable, a perfection within relationships that's unreachable. If only my partner would, I don't know, pick up their laundry off the ground, then things would be better. If only people could see things the way I see them, then things would be better. There's a narrative essentially that needs to be challenged here, Aries, a self-sabotaging narrative. In order for you to do what? For you to stay still and exactly see where you are, so that you can begin a journey, a real powerful journey of experiencing where you're at here, at home. At home meaning at home in your house, at home in your relationships, at home in your friendships, at home in your business world, your career. Like, I'm at home, I'm here. I'm not like at my office desk dreaming of that dream job. I'm not going out for a walk with my partner, but dreaming I was on a beach somewhere with somebody else. I am here. I am present. Because the lesson you're learning under the eclipses is stop pining for experiences that are way, way, way beyond what you can achieve right now. And instead bring it home and start cultivating and manifesting the real magic of your life here on the ground that you're standing on, so that you don't have to keep chasing. It's not this elusive dream. And when you have your feet square on the ground and confident and secure and really seeing what's what, where, oh, I'm here now. Okay, we're here now. Okay, this situation is like this now. Okay, this changes everything. This changes my perspective. And because you're squarely now rooted in the ground, you're able to take your bow and arrow and really shoot and aim for something big in your life, big in your experience, big in your journey to go somewhere. Because you've aimed from a good, solid place. You've aimed from a place of grounding. You've aimed because you've stood still and manifested all your passion, your desire, your will from a strong place and projected that somewhere. And that's the arrow that you pursue. That's the direction that you're going. Over there is where the grass will be green, because from where you're standing here, you're beginning to cultivate it. You're beginning to water it. You're beginning to nourish it. So by the time you get there, you'll have left a trail of manifesting something much better in your life. You'll have grown in your experience, and you'll have grown something valuable and powerful in your life. And it takes a bit of a journey to get there. But as I'm saying, the journey isn't pack a bag, I've somewhere to go. The journey is take off my bag, because the journey starts here with everything that I have in my life right now. And I'm taking off those bad binoculars, the kind of ones that had me looking and believing that the grass was greener somewhere else. If the grass is not green where I'm standing, then that needs to change, because that's the only way anything good can be cultivated in my life. So that's the biggest energy that you've got going on this month, Aries. A total and radical shift of perception, where you suddenly realize that magic doesn't happen out there. The party's not happening out there. The party begins here, and you're the one making it happen. Yes, okay, a few cards coming out there. Let me get that one. And then that one there. Let me get a few more cards as I talk about the energies. Now, Pisces, is in your 12th house, but it does, Mars, I beg your pardon, is in your 12th house of Pisces, but he does move towards the end of the month on June 27th into Aries. So Mars, of course, going home. It's time to go home, but he can't go home and start something, because when Mars, your ruler, moves into its home sign, Aries, it's lighting shit up. It's igniting things. It's got the plan. It knows where it's going. Mars, of course, being the master strategist, being the master mind of making something, making a grand plan turn into action, making it happen at grassroots, beginning it right fresh from the start. And that's, I think, the transition that's happening for you this month. It's like, let go of this thing of pining away for something that you've no great control over. You know, how other people behave. You may not necessarily have any control over how that is, and nor should you really. How certain things run in your life. There are certain parts that you can control, but you can't control it all. So pining away for something that you've no great input into or passion for, or where your sleeves aren't rolled up and you're getting stuck in for, that's a waste of time. So it's like, leave that behind and let Mars towards the end of the month do its work by saying, we've a new direction, we've a new place to go, because we're starting from home. Mars coming home, new moon in Cancer, home. It starts from me. The magic and the passion is lit in me. Nobody lights my passion. Nobody else fans the flame like me. I do that. That's me. So, Mars is going home, new moon in the 4th house, Cancer, of home. Bring your magic home, Aries, and then shoot that magic to somewhere that you can actually go to and know that the grass is greener on the other side because you've planted it. Yeah. So that's the big vibe. You're going to feel that in so many different ways this month, Aries. As I said, that radical change, that radical shift in your mind, that getting unstuck from an old mentality, an old narrative, an old, it's my way or the highway even. I know what I'm doing. Nobody knows what they're doing. And the moment we think we know what we're doing is the moment we really, really don't know what we're doing. And we've got to allow that. We've got to know that that's how the universe plays. The more we recognize that we know nothing, the closer we are to wisdom. And so again, there's another challenge in your perspective this month. Sometimes you've just got to put your hands up and say, I actually really don't know what's going on. And there you're moving into the first square on the big game. Your journey has begun. It could translate in some similar way, like going for a job interview. You know, why should I do that job? You know, why should I do that job? I've years of experience behind me. I've studied. I'm beyond this, bigger than this. And then you go for the interview and you don't get it. And you're saying, why didn't they give that job to me? Maybe they sensed that you weren't kind of fresh, ready for a new experience. Maybe they said, Aries is wonderful, all the degrees, everything, but there's a feeling like I can't teach them anything. Why would I employ them? You know? And then some new fresh-faced kid straight out of school gets in and gets the job, and you're like, how did that happen? And then the narrative kicks in. Well, it must have been because they need people to work for low wages. It must have been a shit job. So again, Aries, it's quite a big deal here. There are a lot of narratives changing. There are a lot of either being too removed from what's truly going on in your life or projecting yourself towards the green grass somewhere else. It's like a disconnect that's kind of the penny dropping, and you're saying, oh, I get it. Maybe there are things, as I said, I have to learn. Maybe I have to start all over again in some way, as Mars is doing, as he's moving in to Aries in the first house for you. Time to bring it home and start over. So we've all the cards we need there. I hope that wasn't too cryptic, Aries, because it is going to be a bit of a shift. And you know, the funny thing about 2020, it kind of feels a bit like that every month it's like a new chapter in this great big book of life. It's like you now have arrived at this crossroads. You know, a couple of years back, we could have gone through months and months of just kind of going and gliding through things. But now, January, February, March, April, May, and here we are, June, and it's the same thing. What? Another crossroads, and I have to choose wisely? Yeah, it is like that, and it'll continue like that through 2020. Why? Because we are growing at an incredible rate through 2020 and maybe a little beyond that. We're growing right in front of our eyes. We're changing. So every month there is a crossroads, and this month for you, everything that we just discussed is the crossroads. Do I continue to keep pining after a dream or maybe getting stuck in a narrative that kind of keeps me away from experiencing new things? And maybe Aries, maybe even looking at people who are willing to start over and say, oh, you're fools, you're fools, you're fools. Maybe. That would be one road to go down. Or the other one, of course, would be, it's 2020, new crossroads. I'm Aries. I love fresh starts. I love starting over. I love it. And I love doing it without any baggage. Not even designer baggage, even the Louis Vuitton baggage. That can stay at home. Because I'm just ready to jump, leap, and dive right into some new big experience. And I'm scared, and I'm worried, and I'm afraid, but I'm also a bit energized by it. And that's where you need to be, Aries, to be energized in some way by doing something that is right outside your comfort zone. But yet in doing it, it actually brings you right back home, brings you right back to being an Aries who's all about doing that. Maybe some of you have found your life has been getting a bit repetitive, dull and mediocre because you haven't been bringing it home. I'm Aries. Let's light this shit up. You know? So Aries, let's light this shit up. Let's go over to your big grand, ta-da, your overview. So the King of Fire, Aries, you're a fire sign. Mars is moving into Aries at the end of this month. But he's saying, right, before we get started, you have something that you need to think about. You have to think long and hard about it. There's a decision here, Aries, and you feel the pressure, you feel the push, but it's not an anxiety kind of pressure. It's like, okay, push this now. We've got to make a decision here. It has to happen. It's going to go one way or the other. One way or the other, and I have to make it happen. So for me, again, Aries, it's not a decision that has to be made under a huge amount of pressure, but it's, you know, like being at the starting line of a race. It's that moment of, I know that when that kind of piston strikes, I know pistol strikes, what did I say? When I know that I have to get moving. I know that I have to go. I know that I have to make something happen. And that's what I feel, Aries. It's like, I know that I have to do something. I know I have to make this happen. I know I have to change something up. With all the retrograde energy here too, I know I have to restructure something. I have to revisit something. I have to redesign something. I have to rethink something. I have to readjust my perspective on something. I have to remind myself that I am fire. And I have to remind myself that as a royal fire, I'm in command and in control of making these decisions. That's it, Aries, I feel. There had been a fear of making a decision, maybe within a relationship. Maybe some of you went through a period of, should I stay or should I go? Because to me, it looks like the grass is greener on the other side. Maybe in your job, the same thing. Should I stay or should I go? The grass is greener on the other side. But then comes the moment where you sit down this month and say, well, what are the facts? Is the grass actually greener over there, or is it just a skewed perspective? Can I bring it home? The King of Fire, He sits on his throne. He owns this shit. This is his home when he's making good decisions. Can I bring it home and make a valid decision? One that's rational, one that I might have to sit back and debate and argue with myself over. I feel that for you too, Aries. A moment, maybe at the lunar eclipse, June 5th, where you maybe either do this with somebody that you care about, your partner or somebody that you trust, but it could be just with yourself, you know, sitting down and saying, come on, this decision has to be made one way or the other. I have to run with something, but why am I doing this? Why am I making this decision? Am I making it based on an illusion, or am I making it based on a fact? Am I making a decision that's going to bring me comfort and long-lasting results, or am I just making a decision to get out of a hot frying pan and maybe jump into the fire? Why do I need to make this decision? What is the purpose of this pressure for me to make this decision? So that's very strong, Aries. This thing of having to sit down and have a chat with yourself, slow down, calm down and say, I feel the pressure to make this big change, this big shift, to rethink something, restyle something, redesign something, remodel something, as I said, adjust some way of thinking about something. Go back and revisit the love with somebody even perhaps. So it's like sit down and say, what are my motives for doing this? Is this just me wanting to get out of a bad situation, or is this me actually planting something that will harvest and turn into a good situation? So it's sitting down and having that chat about what I can make this decision absolutely clear in my mind once I understand why I'm making this decision. What are the motives behind having to make this decision? And do I have to make a radical decision? Or do I just have to stop and say, well, it's not that big of a deal. Maybe I can just change this, and this, kind of shuffle it, review it, see it in a different way, and then it's not such a big deal at all. So that's very strong. The pressure you'd been under to change something, it's like maybe you'd be making a huge deal of it. And it's not that big of a deal at all once you know all the motives behind why, how, and where you're going with it. Where am I going with it? What are the results if I choose this, you know? But Aries, there is something that's sabotaging success for you. And again, it's a hesitancy to break through something. It's like, and I feel this tension with you. If only I could do this, then everything would be right. But I can't do it because it's such a huge thing to do. It's such a huge decision to make. If I kind of left a job, left a relationship, or left a person or a friendship, would I be shooting myself in the foot? There's a kind of a consequence feeling here, Aries. I want to make a big decision, but am I ready to deal with the consequence of that? Like a second-hand kind of slap that comes after making that decision. But again, Aries, this thing of you're under pressure to make it happen, and you can make this decision. You've been overcomplicating it. That's what I feel. You've been definitely overcomplicating how you're perceiving an issue, how you're perceiving a dilemma or a problem or a task or a decision that needs to be made. You've been putting your right hand, left hand, your foot and everything into it and causing a mess. You've been, your mind has been just going overboard on trying to think of every possible thing that could happen. And actually the reality of it is that your train of thought is bringing you down very unhelpful places, so it would seem. Being very, very optimistic about bad decisions and kind of been very neglectful and dismiss that, about very grounded and good options. So this has to be looked at, Aries. It has to be addressed. And I think that's what's going to happen around the time of the eclipses this month. That feeling of bring it home, bring it home, bring it home, bring it down, make it real. Stop running away with this in your head and start realizing that it's not as complicated as you're making it. Make it clean and start cultivating it from where you're at now. It's almost like, Aries, you're overreaching, over-projecting. If I make this decision, then down the road, that will happen. If I do this, then that will happen. It's like, wait. One step at a time. One step at a time. Rome wasn't built in a day. You know? What's that phrase? I know I'll get it wrong, but the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Slow it down, Aries, and be strategic. It's who you are, and Mars moving into Aries this month, that's who you are. Be more strategic. And the thing I'm even really strongly picking up, Aries, is a total, about face. A total, oh my God, thank God I didn't make that decision. Because I was swept away believing something, and that would have really fucked me up, excuse my language, or that decision would have been a disaster. Now that I see it clearer. There's a feeling I have here, Aries, of up until now, there was a bit of a disconnect emotionally. Always again thinking the grass is greener on the other side because you couldn't connect to where you are now on some great emotional level. I couldn't connect to my relationship. I couldn't connect to where I'm living. Couldn't connect to my job, to my passions, to what I'm doing. It was always the next big thing that was going to connect me to something. It was always outside of me. And this month, it's the feeling of bring it home and reconnect to your life. Because it's your two beautiful feet that every time it hits the ground on this earth, that you're occupying that space. So that is where you're at. And cultivate something from where you're at. That's where I keep feeling it. Where you're at right now, that has the biggest answer. Bring your perspective back home and look at where you're at now and work from there. Hopefully that's not too cryptic. Now, this is a Pisces card, the High Priestess, the very, very, very wise one, who realizes that a great level of deep, deep thought has to go in before you make a final decision on something. But she's saying the same thing here. This is also a new moon card. Pisces, 12th house, new moon in Cancer, 4th house. Bring it home. You're not seeing something. It's a feeling of wanting to run away and escape your problems and escaping having to make a decision that's melting your mind. But it's saying, Aries, this is not something to be afraid of. If you bring it home, use your intuition and your heart energy, plug yourself right back in to where you're at now, with the people that you love now, with the home that you're in now. Plug yourself into it and then make your decision, because otherwise the decisions will be based on all the wrong things, all the wrong reasons. So it's quite a big theme here, Aries. Bring it home, intuition, psychic, but more than anything, connect. It's almost, when I'm tuning into you, it's almost like you feel like an alien where you are. I don't feel like I belong here. I don't feel like I belong in this relationship. I don't feel like I belong with these group of friends. I don't feel like I belong within my family or around my environment or neighborhoods or this scene. I don't feel like I belong in this career path. I don't feel like the work I'm doing belongs to me. Now there's where you begin. There's where you begin. Get rid of that feeling of being alienated from all that you are by plugging in and getting back heart and soul and psychic centered. And then you'll be able to make your big decisions, because this turns everything around. Excuse me. This is quite an Aquarius card here. It's also a moon card, and a feeling of having like an amazing idea, an amazing forward-thinking idea, because you've been very tactful, because you've used strategies that it's like, I get it now. I've been wiser, I've been smarter, I've been trying to tiptoe. It's almost like we're trying to tiptoe around a problem all the time without making a decision. I've been trying to avoid making a decision on that, but when I use my skills, my strategy, my intelligence, I change tack and have a victory. And this gets me out of this stress, pressure, and maybe even in some cases a hellish feeling of not being able to make the decision that you feel is the right decision to make. But you can make it, Aries. You definitely can make it. Now, this is a Neptunian card. It's also a Pisces card. Neptune is in Pisces at the moment, and this month he's retrograding. And he's saying, go back. Here's my advice to you, Aries. Go back. Go slow. I know Aries doesn't like hearing that, but I think many Aries do rush. But when you're very, very serious, and when you're getting into the flow and the zone of something, you know that you can get into that kind of pace, like a long distance runner's pace. It's fast, but it's moving at a steadier pace. Get into a steady pace and make these decisions in your life that are very, very grounded, that are giving you the strength to create something long-lasting and enduring in your life, but from where you're at now. Aries, it's that strong feeling. The King of Water, come and I will water the ground that you plow. I will reconnect you, because water is very connective. It's fluid. It connects people. I will reconnect you. I will glue you back to that feeling of being home. I will reconnect you again to having a sense of being grounded. Reconnect you again to home. Whether that's actual physical family or not, for me it's more of a sense of I will bind you in a beautiful way back to earth, grounded, so that you can cultivate something and get moving with something, but at a very, very consistent rate. It's like when Aries goes in, it's like bam, 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 bam. It's like, now I'm getting stuck into something. Now I've made a decision and I can really go for it. It's that feeling. It's that feeling. And then again, Aries, you won't be so put off or distracted by people telling you what decisions you should make in your life. Maybe towards the end of the month, that will be the last lesson learned here. Maybe you might learn that you've been listening. Now, people do have their kind of opinions, and it's always worth listening to different voices and different opinions. But one of the things you might see at the end of the month is that you were very, very focused on hearing way too many people's opinions. And now you're bringing it home. Aries moving back into the first house and saying, no, it's my opinion from now on. I get lit, I get fired up, I get passionate. When I'm really kind of making the last decision, I get the last word. I have the last say, and I will push with this. I'm not trying to please anybody else by the decisions I'm making. I'm just trying to get ahead. I'm not being selfish. I'm not just saying I'm going to please me. It's not about that. It's about I am going ahead with my journey and not letting anybody tell me that I'm doing something wrong and it all sets me off course. I'm going to stick with something, make a plan, stick with it, work on it, and work on it until it becomes a success. So Aries, the biggest thing here I feel for you is that breaking down of the restriction of too many opinions, your own and other people's. Your own narrative has to be broken down. And then over listening, as I said, to too many people. Well, Aries, you know what? Don't do that, do this. Don't do that. Oh, no, I wouldn't do that, or I wouldn't do this. And it's like, shut up. Shut up. I get to do my own thing. I mean, I was given this life in order for me to make decisions. And I'm going to make healthy decisions because now I get it. Now I get that my success, my future, my life isn't connected anymore to something that's happening on some other horizon. It's not out there. It's when I'm home and listening to myself, trusting myself, and not being moved an inch by anybody else. Not being moved an inch. I will not be forced to do something. I will not be told to do something. I will not be pressured into making decisions. I will not be made to feel that the only choices I have are bad choices and I must choose one. I will not allow that anymore. I will not be lost in that confusion anymore. From now on, I'm digging deep and reconnecting with my life again, reconnecting with my passions again, reconnecting with my sense of being grounded again, and saying from where I stand and from where I'm looking now, everything looks better from my side of the fence. Everything looks better when I get to make my own decisions. Everything looks better when I'm cultivating something for my happiness, rather than for something that belongs on a horizon, on the nowhere vista and panorama out there. I know, Aries. It's a kind of a weird one, but we're going to leave it at that, my love. You do know, of course, these are just the general energies for the month. You know the drill by now. To get into the deeper subjects, to talk about relationships, your love relationships, what's going on there, the singles. Are we going to find love this month as the sun travels through your house of communication and then into your house of bonding and connectedness? Maybe. We're going to talk about your money and your career. We're going to talk about home, which could be a theme coming up here, family and friends. Everything that we don't talk about in the general read, we go really deep into it in the deep read on VIMEO. And Aries, you know how to get to it by now. You open the description box down there, excuse the nails, quarantine nails, forgive me. Open the description box, click into the link you'll see there. Come on over, my love, and I'll see you over there. We'll do our usual thing of getting stuck into all the details. But in the meantime, my beautiful, I'm going to leave it at that. And enjoy this new journey. As weird as it may sound, and challenging maybe as it may sound, I think what you're going to love, Aries, is this feeling of being plugged back in to your deep well of passion and emotions. That deep Aries well of love, that romantic well of love. You'll be plugged back into that. And I think this is the beginning of something great. This is a good crossroads for you this month. Okay, my love, as always, I'm going to leave you with all my love. And a great big kiss from me to you. Mwah. Until next month, my beautiful. Bye.